Hello and welcome. I'm Siddharth Zarabi and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. Sanjay Kapoor, the Chief Executive Officer of Bharti Airtel in India and South Asia, and he's going to talk to us about the company and the industry in particular. Thank you, Sanjay, for joining us today. Let me begin by asking you, a couple of quarters back when we used to talk to you, the mood was slightly depressing. The entire industry, at least the established operators, were in some sort of trouble. The impression that one got was that the industry is suffering a death by 1,000 cuts. Is that phase over, and what lies in the future?
Well, Siddharth, I must say that even during that phase, the incumbents were fairly confident that this needs to come to a happy ending where the big boys will become bigger. I think over the last 2 quarters that has proven right. I would say that we've inched a lot, and we are seeing that resurgence of both traffic and customers with the large operators, and the large operators further consolidating their position in the market is a testimony to the fact that the big become bigger when consolidations round the corner, and also in a very crowded market the customer has the ability to recognize bigger and better brands.
Sanjay, you've been a Airtel veteran and also an industry veteran, well over 12 years in this company alone. Really, you've seen it all. We've seen several phases of growth, depression in this industry in that sense. One thing was always constant: subscriber growth. That is a truth even now. But is the current level of subscriber growth, the additions that you are getting, are they actually getting you revenue, or are the existing operators like you just pumping on the steam to keep ahead of others, and profitability is something that is still under question?
It's a good question, Siddharth. We've always said that to just look at customer numbers without revenue figures is fallacious. I totally agree with you that what gets reported today as number of customers neither is calibrated from one operator to another operator because there's no common definition. On the other hand, I think when you really translate those numbers into revenue growth, then for many players it has not really culminated into revenue, and even for overall industry it's not culminated into revenue growth over the last 1 year or so. So I would say looking at numbers is probably too lopsided at the moment alone. Look at revenues along with it, and the multiplicity of SIM phenomena in the marketplace and duplicity of SIM phenomena in the marketplace is clearly telling you that there's a room to discount these numbers hugely.
By what extent?
50%.
Wow, that's a lot actually. And this you are saying is for the entire subscriber base for mobile phones?
No, for the incremental customers.
Okay.
On an overall basis, I would say if you were to see a duplicity phenomena or a multiplicity phenomena, I would discount the numbers by about maybe 30% or so.
So Sanjay Kapoor is telling us that real growth, incremental growth every month is probably 4 to 5 million subscribers only, the real growth?
No, the industry is reporting about 15 or 16 million, so I would say the real customers would be around maybe 7, 8, 9, that range.
What about the quality of the subscribers that you are getting, your sales force is getting on the field?
I think we've held on pretty well. We've been moving into rural India for many quarters now, and despite of proliferating the rural markets, I think both the usages and the ARPUs have by and large held on. I wouldn't say that we were not anticipating that as we dig deeper the ARPUs will not come down. They had to come down because the propensity to pay of a marginal customer will always be lesser. But I think we have by and large held on pretty well, at least on the consumption patterns of the minutes of use on the network.
What's your average rural ARPU?
So it's difficult to segregate, and I think it's competitive in nature, so I'll probably not bring it to the table.
Okay.
But say that despite of getting 60% new customers from rural India, we by and large kept the usage phenomena intact. In fact, last quarter, if you see, we actually grew the usage per customer per month by about 12 minutes.
So what you're saying is that the drive to get into rural India is not a bet that you have placed in the dark. You're actually confident that this will lead to higher profitability going sort of down the line?
Absolutely. In fact, the whole ethos behind putting a network factory concept into place was to make sure that you are able to serve the marginal customers as well as you are able to serve the top echelons of your customer segments. And I do believe that a country like ours, which is only about 27% penetrated in rural India, has got a great future ahead. There are very few markets which, compared to the size of the rural India, in share numbers, and we are only 27% penetrated there. So there's a lot of uncovered ground, and this is on voice. Imagine we have not even touched the tip of the iceberg when it comes to data.
Yeah, I was going to come to that, but before we go there, let me now bring up the issue of costs. You as a company clearly acknowledge, as someone who sort of thought ahead of time of everybody else to bring down costs, talked about outsourcing, did it in such a large manner, the entire industry has attempted to follow you. But the question really is that if you look at the numbers for the industry, and not just for Bharti Airtel, wage pressures, fuel costs, transportation costs, generally the cost of doing business in India is constantly going up for all industry, and that holds true for you also. So therefore, where is the second round of cost saving going to come from? What are you doing as CEO to bring that in, and what kind of benefits can accrue from that?
At Bharti, our eyes have always been on productivity enhancement, and even when we were designing a network factory, we knew ultimately if we have to move towards this affordability drive and the rates will actually fall down to a cent a minute, we must have a cost structure to support it. The share volumes on the network factory, and we produce almost 2.2 billion minutes every day, which makes it probably the largest or amongst the largest network factories in the world. The economies of scale that accrue to us give us a distinct advantage in the marketplace, one. Second, we've always believed that if somebody can do a job better than us, then we better get that partner into the ecosystem to do that job for us, because over time not only will the experience improve, but there'll be benefits on cost that will accrue to us. We've gone a long way, from CRM to IT to network to towers, but still there's lots to do. In future there are still opportunities. These are around shared services areas, and productivities as indices are always on our radar screens. So whether it's manpower productivities, whether it's juicing our assets and network, whether it's our IT, we have our eyes always glued on to say we now need to move the benchmark to the next high. And this is an endless journey. I don't think it is ending in a hurry.
TRA came out with a report which was adverse for operators like you, especially on the issue of spectrum, which is a scarce commodity for you. You made that point so many times, and we don't know what is going to happen to it. But the fact is that there is a paper out there, it has adverse recommendations, and that probably can therefore be put as a broad topic of a regulatory overhang on your business going forward next 2, 3, 4 quarters. Do you agree that there is a serious regulatory overhang and that could pose a challenge to your plans?
I think first and foremost, we all acknowledge that this is a very spectrum hungry industry, and the fact that if customer experience has to be enhanced and if customer empowerment has to go up through telecommunications and broadband, then spectrum has to be available in adequate quantities. India unfortunately probably has the least amount of spectrum available per operator compared to almost the whole of the world.
Yet the regulator says that he wants to take back excess spectrum from operators like you.
I think we firmly believe that Bharti Airtel, maybe along with others, has always been given spectrum based on norms laid down by the government, and we've always fulfilled those norms before we got the spectrum, and therefore that spectrum legitimately belongs to us. So there's no question of giving it back. Also, when it comes to contributing towards using that spectrum, if you look at what we have paid back to the exchequers for every megahertz of spectrum, it's 5 to 6 times larger than an average player in the marketplace. So I think we've adequately compensated the exchequers for what we've used.
All right. On that note, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll keep talking to Sanjay Kapoor about the Indian telecom industry and Bharti Airtel. Keep watching.